Hold until XRP hits $1,000. That sounds crazy, right? It's not just news, though. We need to talk about it today. Because XRP is once again showing a lot of strength by pushing back to $2.65 this morning, and momentum is finally beginning to return. Don't forget that $2.65 was the level we wanted to see turn into strong support, and it is. XRP is quietly getting ready for what could be its next big run, while the rest of the world watches the chaos, trade talks, and government shutdowns. Let's be honest. This is not financial help, it's just my point of view. We're seeing chance happen right in front of our eyes while the news is full of stories about fear and uncertainty. We've heard that a new trade deal with China might be close, which would mean that tariffs could finally be dropped. If that happens, the markets could wake up overnight. That, along with the end of the government shutdown, makes it ideal for risky investments, especially crypto, to really take off. And let's be honest, XRP is one of the few assets that has regularly done better this year. Thanks for coming by. Also, I haven't been in the office for a few days, but that didn't stop us from calling each other every week on Discord. Those of you who are part of our private group will remember how excited and positive we were on that call. We talked about research and making plans for what to do next. You can also join Patreon through my website if you haven't already. We get on a call every Saturday to talk about the markets, XRP news, and chances that 99% of buyers don't even know about yet. But today's update is important because it's not just about price changes, it's also about changes in the world economy that could have an impact on every financial market. China is ready to make a trade deal according to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. This deal could get rid of President Trump's 100% tariffs. That might be enough to make everything different. There are also rumors of delays on limits on rare earths, which could mean a one-year break while they re-evaluate world export limits. This is the kind of good macro background that could really heat up these markets, and XRP is already showing it wants to be in charge. We'll talk more about all of that, including the deal with China, the shutdown, the strange link between the Mellon family and XRP, and how big money is slowly coming back into the market. Get a coffee, hit the like button, and let's break this down. The momentum is building again, and this could be the start of the next big XRP wave. Now, let's talk about what's really going on behind the scenes. This is important because when we talk about XRP's potential, whether it's $10, $100, or even $1,000, we need to know what it's moving in. The world's markets are holding their breath right now. One side has trade issues between the US and China finally easing up. The other side has the US government shutdown that has been giving investors the creeps. Both of these are huge macro factors that affect how people feel about the market. When people feel less worried, they put their money back into risky assets like crypto. XRP, which is the most utility-driven digital asset on the market, stands to gain a lot from this. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, just stated that China is ready to make a deal. As part of that deal, President Trump needs to get rid of those 100% tariffs. Just think about how important that is. If the trade war ends completely, money will flow back into global markets, businesses will start spending again, and there will be an effect on commodities, stocks, and even digital assets. It gets better, though. On top of that, China was thinking about making it very hard to ship rare earth materials, which are used in everything from semiconductors to electric cars. They are now taking back their plans and putting off those limits for at least a year. That's really big. It means less stress on factories around the world and more security for supply chains that have been shaky since 2020. This kind of loosening of restrictions usually fuels the stock market, and in crypto, it often comes before huge moves. This is where things get crazy. People in the general financial world are very focused on these trade talks, but people in the XRP community are quietly making connections about something else. Old money, institutional power, and strong ties to XRP. We just found out that the mysterious $130 million gift to the military was actually from Timothy Mellon, who is the heir to the Mellon family, which is one of the oldest banking families in America. If you know that name, it's because Matthew Mellon, who comes from the same family, was one of the first and biggest private investors in XRP. He bought millions of XRP tokens years ago when they were almost worthless and put them in several hidden cold wallets across the US before he died too soon. He was very excited about how XRP could change the way people send money across borders. It's interesting that another Mellon name is now making big financial news. Now we're here. On the one hand, global tensions are easing and the economy as a whole is becoming more stable, which is good for crypto. But on the other hand, institutional families, family money, and crypto native investors are all coming back to XRP. On top of that, XRP has done better than almost all other large cap assets this year. This makes it easier to see the bigger picture. It's not by chance, it's not a hype, it's the placement. It looks like capital is starting to move around. This is what happens right before big market cycles change. Rich people who have been wealthy for generations don't just start to align themselves with one digital product by accident. When you add in a world economy that is getting better and low open interest rates, the situation is very strong. Let's look at why the next few months could be a turning point, not just for the markets, but also for how XRP establishes itself as the backbone of the new digital financial system. Then we'll talk about the technicals and how this price structure matches past XRP moves. Okay, let's get down to the basics of what's really going on with XRP. The structure that's building on the charts right now is something we've seen before, despite all the hype and guesswork. This could be the setup that changes everything if the past happens again. As of this morning, XRP is still strong between $2.64 and $2.65, which is a very important range. Why? Because that area has been on our radar for weeks as it changes from pushback to support. It's often a sign that momentum is back on an asset's side when it makes that flip. It's not just about price, it's also about how people act. Even after all the fear and instability, the market shows that XRP will not break down. Now, one of the most important things we've been keeping an eye on is open interest, which is the number of open futures contracts in XRP. Open interest has recently been reset fully. That's fine. In fact, this is often the calm before the storm. When open interest goes down, buyers who are taking on too much debt have been pushed out of the market. No more weak hands. People who aren't looking to flip something quickly, but rather for the long term are the only ones left. It happened just like that the last time we saw this trend in May 2025. When the price dropped, there was no longer any leverage, and in just a few weeks, XRP went from 70 cents to $3.50. Everyone was caught off guard by the move, except those who were paying close attention. We have low leverage, high spot demand, and trapped shorts once more. That mix is perfect for making gatherings very exciting. In the meantime, institutions are slowly getting ready. At the moment, 7 spot ETFs are waiting to be approved. Among them are Franklin, 21 shares, Bitwise, Canary, Wisdom Tree, CoinShares, and Grayscale. Also, the Rex Osprey ETF is already up and running with about $100 million in assets under control. This means that the capital moves are not just ideas, they're taking place. That institutional money can start coming in as soon as the government shutdown ends and those decisions start going through. It gets even more interesting after this. Strategic demand is being fueled by Ripple itself behind the scenes.